These up. Thank you so much, Katie. And above all, thank you for being here. Look at all the truthers. That's what we are, truthers. Thank you for being awake. Thank you for making an effort for Queensland and Australia. We are together on the front line of an information war and indoctrination war. Make no mistake. I want to thank Advance Australia, Monica Smith, Jim, Katie, my wife Christine who's here, and I want to thank everyone who's here today. At last, people are waking up. I've been waiting for this day since 2006. 2006, that's when I started my campaigning against the Greens. Actually, since 1996. The Greens are the most destructive force in Australian politics. I said so in my first speech in 2016, many since. They are responsible for the affordability crisis that's belabouring our country right now. I've held Senator Larissa Waters accountable repeatedly. In the first time was Thursday, the 7th of October, 2010, 15 years ago. I challenged her to a debate on the politics, the science, and the corruption of the science of climate. I challenged her in 2016 in the election campaign. I challenged her in the Senate on the 9th of September 2019, and weekly since then for about 2 years. She has always failed to provide the evidence. They lack the data, they contradict the data, they denigrate nature. They use fearful, wild, emotional claims, like the Great Barrier Reef is dying when it's had never been healthier, like sea levels will rise if Antarctica melts. Well, that's the case, but Antarctica is -7 degrees, it's not going to melt. The Greens are anti-science. Instead of data and logic, the Greens force beliefs and opinions. They have pictures of cute, smiling dolphins and cuddly koalas. That's their science. They use experts, but never data. Use emotions, fear, guilt, and lies to contradict data and facts, not solid reference data. The Greens push the myth that we must make a choice between civilization and the environment. That's not true. To have a future environment, we need to have a respectful civilization. To have a future civilization, we need an environment. Civilization and the environment are mutually dependent, not exclusive. The Greens are telling a monstrous lie because their ideology is similar to the United Nations and the World Economic Forum, which is where they get their ideology, and that is anti-human. Make no mistake, the Greens are anti-human. I've called them out repeatedly for that. The Greens hurt the environment. Steve Nowakowski is doing marvellous work exposing the environmental damage of solar and wind. He was a former Greens candidate. They've been minimising human progress and human development, which are the keys to minimising environmental impact. The rich nations, go to any rich nation, you'll see respect for the environment. Go to poor nations and you'll see degradation of the environment. They're destroying wealth in this country and around the Western world. They're pushing solar and wind, which is raising energy prices, which reduces productivity and decreases wealth. The Greens are anti-industry and destroy industry and prosperity. The policies are shifting manufacturing to high pollution countries, real pollution. The Greens hurt the poor and the disadvantaged. They have regressive energy taxes that are basically the poor subsidising rich billionaires to install solar and wind. They're pushing massive immigration, driving rents sky high. Then they introduce a dishonest rent cap to raise rents. Which is raising rents. Then they stop the timber industry, which makes houses more expensive for young families. They stifle productivity. They kill jobs. We are the world's richest country in the world per capita for resources. Yet look at the homeless in every main city in this state. Why? Because of the Greens and the UN policies. This really gets me. They've populated with women in the parliament, but the Greens policies hurt women. Trans women in women's sports, erodes the rights of women. Massive immigration decreases wages, forcing two-income families. Not all women want to work. They should have a choice. Greens are taking away choice. They have a myth that women and men are equal. I can tell you that myth hurts both sexes, hurts children, and my wife is way ahead of me in many, many aspects, and I'm proud of that. They create divide between men and women, which destroys our society. They push UN ideology, destroying family. Anti-human ideology. They blindly support Islam, which is anti-women. They kill babies up to birth in abortions, right up to term. And then they let aborted babies die on a cold kidney dish. They portray minorities as weak and victims, creating victimhood and dependence. They're focused on overseas and support anyone that's not Australian. They have got more concern for the people in the Middle East than the people in Australia, and they're ashamed of Australia. The Greens are most dangerous because they're illogical. They avoid logic and data, making it difficult to discuss coherently with them, impossible to argue with them. They're arrogant. They know best for the future of our planet. They want to control evolution in this planet. They are playing God, and they're anti-human. So I say no to the Greens, and I ask everyone to put Greens last, because we value and support true science, which is fundamental to freedom. We need affordable energy for high standard of living and prosperity. The Greens are undermining this. We value our precious natural environment and a human environment. We support education, not indoctrination. I say we, I think everyone in this area. We respect and care for the poor and disadvantaged. The Greens create more poor and disadvantaged. We support environmentally responsible industry. We support human progress, development and civilization. We are all sociable and proud of our human species. We are moral and honest. We love, respect and we cherish women. They're 50% of the population and they're the smarter half of the population. And I'm not saying that because I've got my wife behind me. We respect all people. The Greens do not respect people. We seek to unite, not divide. I come from a party that's called One Nation, not Black Nation, Major Nation, Tall Nation, Short Nation, Fat Nation, Women Nation. One Nation. We are pro-family. We value young people. We value young families. They are the future of our nation. We love Australia. We are very, very pro-Australian. We value Australian sovereignty, free from woke UN anti-human ideology and bullshit. We support freedom. We oppose globalists, including Big Pharma being in control. The Greens support Big Pharma. They want injection mandates. Do you get that? I am fiercely pro-human because I admire our species. We've got some people who are maniacs, killers, Stalin, Hitler, Pol Pot, Morrison, Palaszczuk, you know the sort. We don't need to be told how to micromanage our life. I would listen to anyone in this area right now ahead of anyone from the Greens, anyone from the Greens. The Greens cruelly hijack our inherent care. They say we don't care. Nothing could be further from the truth. Humans do care. The antidotes to the Greens are data, truth and reality. That's why Pauline and I base everything on hard facts. We believe in, another antidote is a belief in humanity. So I would suggest everyone, go and observe nature. Just sit in nature for a while and place yourself within nature. Life is holistic. It's not cut and dried like the Greens' lies. We are of our universe. We're not part of our universe. We are of our universe. Back in 2009, I started doing some work on climate. That's when I started, 2007. And then 2009, I sat down and said, why am I doing this, working voluntarily for no income, costing me lots of money? And I worked out there were 5 aims. Protect freedom. Climate is about control and wealth transfer. Protect the environment. Protect and restore scientific integrity. Protect the economy. And restore the connection between nature and humans, which is a very spiritual thing. Say no to the Greens. Put the Greens last. Evict the Greens from Parliament. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, mate, that was a great speech. With a certificate of appreciation from our Alliance group.
This is the certificate of appreciation I like. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jim.
So our next speaker, Sarah Maguire. I've got that right, haven't I, Sarah? Sarah Maguire. She's from a group that's battling something that a lot of us probably don't know about at the moment, and that's the toxic chemicals that the Queensland government are using to attempt